So next off, let's do a real topic now. That was the fun Christmas special moment.
Yeah, that was good.
Only here on Randomness Insues Christmas special. So next we got some Linux news.
Ooh, yes, I'm excited for this one.
What's some exciting stuff on Linux? So, like, if you're not a Linux user, this might be a little interesting because you might want to switch to Linux.
Yeah, you will turn into a Linux user one day.
I believe you said you've turned all the way to Linux finally.
Yes. So
because last time we did the podcast, you were kind of switching back and forth or whatever.
Yeah, I was a little wishy-washy with it.
Are you like fully on Linux and then like have like a second hard drive with Windows like just in case you need it, or is it like just only Linux?
No, I went straight Linux for my daily driver. I do have a Mac for a laptop, but I have completely wiped Windows from my existence.
Yeah.
Which I'm very happy for. I don't regret switching fully to Linux, as everything I need works perfectly. It has taken a little research trying to understand how Linux works, and it's a lot different. But I'm gonna be honest, man. There's so much freedom you get just from switching. Like you just feel more free.
Windows is definitely more free than Mac, though.
Yeah, it does allow. Yeah, Windows does allow you to do more. True. For my daily driver, I use Pop! OS on my desktop. I recently just bought a System 76 Thelio desktop. If you guys have not checked them out, System 76, they make their own Linux distribution, their own Linux OS, if you will, and their own hardware to go with it. A lot of their hardware is also open source, so
obviously.
Shout out to System 76 for all the great work they've done.
Linux for the win.
Yeah, Linux for the win.
W.
Yeah, Linux is it's been treating me well, and I will say I actually read an article this morning that said someone compared Windows 11 to other Linux distributions, and Windows got dead last with gaming.
Wow.
Windows 11 got dead last compared to Pop! OS, I think. Manjaro.
One of the big things now is like with Steam and their Steam Deck. They've been pushing Linux more so for gaming, which really is helping with that.
A huge help, because maybe for those who don't know, it is now possible to play Windows only games on Linux.
Yeah.
With virtually the same performance as native Windows gaming, which is absolutely incredible, the work that Valve has done. And if you guys, for those who don't know, if you go to if you look up Valve Proton, I think it is Steam Proton, Valve Proton,
or Photon. Was it Photon, or was it actually Proton? Proton. Okay.
Yeah, and that's where you can go to see which Windows games.
Photon was a freaking multiplayer engine thing.
Was it really?
Yeah, for game development and stuff.
Sounds
like that.
familiar.
Yeah. Proton. Okay.
Yeah, Steam or Valve Proton. It shows you for those who don't know, it shows you which games work well with Linux, which ones work bad, which ones work great. So it's pretty cool. I'm curious about you. Have you ever considered at least testing Linux on one of your devices?
I actually do use Linux for my server and stuff.
Right.
I also am going to be having a secondary drive with Linux, and eventually switching Windows to secondary, but to start it will be Linux secondary, Windows primary.
Great.
I think dual booting will be the better case for me.
Yeah.
So I could kind of keep up to date with both systems.
I got you.
But have the flexibility if I need something that can only work on Windows to have Windows. Even though most things should work on Linux, but just for case, or also testing purposes too. But also have Linux because you have more control over Linux.
Definitely.
But Windows for just having it for certain things,
Yeah, for I know Adobe products I think are Windows only. What's another thing?
However, I'm never getting a Mac. I'm sorry.
You don't.
No.
Why? Why? Just because, do you feel they're too restrictive?
That, and I don't care for Apple.
Yeah, I know Apple's not all. Apple's obviously not the best around.
They have a lot of really bad business practice.
Oh, good, yeah.
I am like, yeah, I just can't stand them, and they expect you, like, if you're into like repairing and stuff like that.
Right to repair is difficult.
They're the leading cause against right to repair. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're like the ones that start the trend and other companies follow. And because they're like the biggest company out there, every company ends up following.
That's right. Apple is the biggest company, huh?
Yep. And I take a stand with that. But if someone likes it, cool, get it. But
it's not for you.
No. And they do a lot of the same stuff Google does, except they're more private about it. Like they sell your data to freaking other companies, just like Google does. The only difference is Google or even Microsoft, they're free products, and you know they're doing it. With Apple, if you don't think about it, you won't know they're doing it.
Interesting.
They're still getting your data.
Yeah.
They just look more secure, you know.
Not the greatest company of all time.
No, they're sneaky a lot of stuff.
They are, yeah. They're one thing I don't like about Mac OS is and I it was only recently where I just truly realized this. I was trying to find like a documents folder in my file manager. There was no option for that. Everything was connected to my iCloud account, and it was such a hassle, man. I was like, I don't want this to be connected to my iCloud where it's on my iPhone too. I like to separate my works. So I just find it like the fact that Mac OS Finder, they don't even, it's not even a typical file manager. Like, yeah, it's just such a lockdown ecosystem. It really is. That's why I was really contemplating I do want to sell my Mac just to go for at least just maybe a Linux laptop at this point.
I mean, one of the things, if you have a Mac, you might, I guess one good use you could get out of it is doing it to test other things in general,
True. Yeah, you could use it to test.
Just do like comparing Mac to Windows to Linux.
Yeah. And
show how Windows and Linux are better and how Linux is better than both.
Yeah. But honestly, like, I think what's kind of keeping me to Mac is I'm in the Apple ecosystem, man. I can't get out. I can't.
No, I refuse to get into the Apple ecosystem.
Yeah, I don't think it's worth it. It's it's stupid expensive. The hardware, like the software, works beautifully, right? And I think that's the thing is maybe the hardware is not always the best.
Personally, I think if you're paying like $2,000 for like an Apple product,
exactly,
and it gets broken, or you want to install some third-party software, you should be allowed to do that. You spent that much money. How come I could, if I spend like $100 on a computer or something like that, I get a better experience? Like, as someone who likes to customize stuff, or if I want my computer to work a certain way, I could do that. Whether it's Linux or Windows, more so with Linux. But if I have an Apple product or like Android, I could even do a lot more customization than Apple.
Yep.
Like Apple just is a horrible company. I can't spend any money to them. I refuse to buy any of their products.
I respect you, man. I think I've been wanting to get into Pixel, and in fact the Pixel 8 right now.
This is the Pixel 6.
And I like it. I do like Pixel. My issue with it is Google products. I much rather have, or Google software rather. I much rather have iMessage.
I mean, you could put a Graphene OS and...
You could, yeah. But
iMessage is stupid, by the way.
I know. They still haven't added RCS, huh?
Yeah.
They're going to.
I know that.
But you're still going to get the green bubbles.
Green bubbles are way better. I think anyone with a green bubble deserves a trophy.
Yes, sir.
Think about it. That's quote unquote, that's being mean to like poor people.
I know it's sad the way Apple
that's bullying poor people.
Yeah, Apple literally bullies poor. Isn't that sad?
and the poor people get a better experience overall. What you heard of the company that's gonna make a third-party application that allows you to get the blue bubble if you're into that?
Yes. I'm trying to remember the name real quick. It was Nothing Phone.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. I think that service, it didn't last very long.
Well, they tested it. It was still in early beta.
Yeah.
And a spokesperson decided to, like, kind of overhype it or whatever. Because, by saying, oh, it's very secure and stuff like that, which it wasn't yet.
Yeah.
It still isn't yet. So they ended up taking it down to fix some stuff or whatever. It's very disastrous launch. But I think what I like about Android messaging is you could customize like the message icon to be any color.
Yeah,
you could
that's
purple,
right.
blue, red, whatever. You could do custom pictures. Or if you use like even Messenger, like you could do the same thing or whatever. Like every other messaging app, you could do whatever the heck you want for your customization. Are
you on Graphene OS or are you using stock Google
Stock,
Android?
because I'm still paying off my phone.
I gotcha. And has it been good overall? Like the software experience is good?
It's been decent.
Decent, yeah.
Everything works, so.
Good.
But yeah.
Because I have been debating I'm thinking about going to Pixel, so.
I do use a different different launcher.
You do, okay.
Which is something that's nice. With Android, you could use multiple launchers.
Yeah, it's a little difficult with Apple.
And if you're someone who enjoys, like, Apple products, you could make your phone look like an iPhone if you really want to.
Yeah.
Make this, but, like, I can't stand Apple. No offense, but...
No, it's all good.
man.
I'm not an Apple.
I'm not praising any company. You don't praise any company. But Apple has literally the worst business practices of the others. At the very least, other companies will give you something for free or whatever. Apple charges you for literally everything, even stuff that should be free if you're spending money on a product.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of that,
Anyways,
I know. Let's see. I know we got
that was a little heated.
I know we got a little off topic there. But Linux, what else is new? New file system, or not really new, but it was called Bcache FS, I think it is, which has to come from BTRFS.
Does it work on any? Is it for all Linux or is it just for certain Linux?
It is. So it's a type of file system, and it's open source. So
is it like does it work for both all three major versions of Linux?
It can if the distribution decides to ship it.
I mean the main three distributions.
Let me see. To be honest,
because you could install if you have a file system on the default one, you can always update it to a different file system.
You could. There could be errors doing that. You could have like file corruption. It's possible.
Obviously.
But I know there could be some issues, so I think that maybe the distro needs to ship with it in the first place.
For example, the most popular one being the Ubuntu type of Linux distribution, which would include Ubuntu, Linux Mint, and a few others.
Pop OS, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So,
for that, let's see. I know that, so Bcache FS, and I'm looking, so I'm looking at their main website right now, and they titled it, so Bcache FS, the cow file system for Linux that won't eat your data. I know, right? So, it's a new file system with an emphasis on reliability, robustness, and the complete set of features one would expect from a modern file system, including copy on write, full data and metadata checksumming, multiple devices, replication, data placement, caching, no cow mode. I don't know any of this. I am not a file system nerd. I don't know. All I know.
I like how we're just naming stuff that we don't even know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's random, man. All I know is it's getting added to, I think, Linux kernel 6.7. I know we're on 6.6 right now. We're going on a 6.7 already, man.
Mm-hmm. And Windows is only on 11.
But yeah,
that was a joke, by the way.
Great joke, man. But me personally, even though I'm not much of like a file system nerd, I do love them, just because I think I like them because I have a huge disliking for NTFS.
Okay.
Genuinely, it's one of the slower file systems out there. I think Windows is working on a replacement ZFS. I think it was called. I don't know for certain.
I know the old school one, FAT32.
Yeah, FAT. Yeah.
You know, it's pretty chunky.
That's a big boy. But NTFS is just it's slower. But anyway, I just thought it was interesting that, hey, you know, we're getting more file systems out there. So I think on Pop! OS for default it is ext4. It's a little older.
Yeah.
Hopefully they change that in the future. I don't know.
Okay.
But anyway, that's all I got really for file systems. I thought that was interesting.
Any cool stories with Linux that you have for this small Linux portion?
Sure. What else is new with Linux, man? Gaming is getting just a lot better than how it is, how it was, thanks to, like we talked about with Valve doing the good work. So gaming on Linux, y'all definitely check it out. Linux is not hard. If you stick with Ubuntu, if you stick with those that distribution, super easy. It's nothing scary. Let's see. So gaming's great on Linux now, as I told you earlier, even better. Running better than Windows 11. What else?
Or is that it?
Honestly, I think that's it. Yeah.
Cool.